would you still refer to President Xi as a dictator? This is a term that you used earlier this year.
Well, look, he is.
Oh, man. That's the same face I make when my uncle starts a story by mentioning the race of the waitress. It's actually the same. It's actually the same face I made when I heard Biden say this about LL Cool J.
Wildlife officials say that a flamingo that escaped from a Kansas zoo 17 years ago has been spotted in Texas. Or, and hear me out, flamingos look like other flamingos.
An advocacy group has released its annual list of hazardous toys, which includes dinosaur claws from Jurassic World and a folding trampoline. Bad news for kids whose role model is the Toronto Raptor. Hillary Clinton indicated on a recent podcast that she believes presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard is being groomed by Russian intelligence, while Bernie Sanders is being groomed by a leaf blower. Dunkin' has announced a new beverage called the Shamrock Macchiato, which combines espresso, vanilla, and Irish cream. It's the festive, sugary drink that will have you saying top o' the morning and losing the bottom o' your leg. This week in court, Stormy Daniels gave a detailed description of sex with Donald Trump, which was so disgusting even the sky turned green. Stormy Daniels after the dentist. I'm surprised we didn't get Biden after the colonoscopy.
2 British museums announced that they will return gold and silver artifacts that were looted 150 years ago from Ghana. Unfortunately, there's still nothing they can do about the people looted from Ghana. There is growing interest in man camps where men try to reclaim their masculinity by attending military-style boot camps and getting berated by drill instructors. But then at night, big gay orgy.
It was announced that a musical version of Lord of the Rings will open in Chicago. So if you love musicals and you love Lord of the Rings, high school must have been a tough time. Trust me, I know.
After Nikki Haley's poor showing in Michigan, pressure is mounting for her to drop out of the race, but mostly because the dishes are piling up at home.
Tuesday night marked the first night of Hanukkah, the Jewish celebration of how one word miraculously stretched into 8.
Police in Kansas found a stolen statue honoring Jackie Robinson, but say that it was damaged beyond repair. Also, police shot it because it refused to drop the bat. I thought you did that good. I wouldn't have said that. Pope Francis said this week that sexual pleasure is a gift from God. Unfortunately, it was in response to the question, should the church still have altar boys? Speaking of kids, potential new candidates for Speaker include Tom Emmer, Kevin Hern, Jack Bergman, and 6 more candidates who are clearly George Santos. Insiders said that during his hush money trial, Donald Trump complained that none of his supporters were in court with him. But that's not true. What about all those cops? Protesters continue to gather at Standing Rock Indian Reservation to stop the construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline. The natives believe that the oil pipeline could contaminate their water supply, but the oil company believes, nah. The Sheriff's Department began using rubber bullets and water hoses against the protesters last weekend. And I know that law enforcement is a very, very tough job. But at some point, when you're out there in 23-degree weather, spraying some native family with a fire hose on Thanksgiving, you gotta stop and wonder, are we the bad guys?
This week was Mental Illness Awareness Week, and trust me, we're aware. President and active bioweapon Donald Trump took his doctors hostage and broke out of the hospital like Sarah Connor in Terminator 2. Starbucks has responded to the invasion of Ukraine by shutting down its locations in Russia in hopes of sending a message to President Vander. Good evening, everyone.
Welcome to Weekend Update. I'm Michael Che.
I'm Colin Jost. The publisher of Roald Dahl's books announced that they're altering some of his insensitive language, like the words fat and ugly, as well as modernizing his portrayal of women, which will mostly affect Dahl's beloved children's classic, The Fat, Ugly Wife Who Knew Her Place.
Republican insiders are concerned that the rivalry between Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis could lead to a civil war within the party, which is perfect because they already have the flags. Hurricane Ian hit Florida this week, and Governor Ron DeSantis called it a 500-year flooding event. In fact, it's such a historic tragedy that DeSantis won't let them teach about it in Florida schools.
Florida governor and Dallas Cowboys cheerleader Ron DeSantis explained why so many residents failed to evacuate, saying some people just don't want to leave their homes, which is why sometimes you have to trick them onto a plane to Martha's Vineyard.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has proposed a new policy permanently banning mask mandates and vaccine requirements, saying, when the world lost its mind, Florida was a refuge of sanity. Then everyone in the crowd took a hit of nitrous and bit a cop. Georgia Representative and cocaine bear Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted, the country needs a national divorce, which makes sense because she is the most divorced-looking woman I have ever seen. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is releasing a new memoir called The Courage to Be Free. Even though The Courage to Be Free sounds like a Black History book, he's banned.
This weekend, bitter rivals who have been desperately pandering for votes and trying to force their politics on America will finally face off in person. I'm, of course, talking about tomorrow's Oscars.
Donald Trump accused Ron DeSantis of wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare and called the Florida governor a wheelchair over the cliff kind of guy. Wheelchair over the cliff is also how Melania will finally get rid of him. Donald Trump responded to reports that Ron DeSantis will run against him for the Republican nomination, saying, we'll handle this the way I handle things. So rough and without consent. It's okay.
Chris Christie's niece was arrested on a Spirit Airlines flight to Newark after she accused a Latino family of smuggling cocaine, then injured multiple officers by biting them and kicking them in the groin. She has been sentenced to life in the New Jersey.
Donald Trump said the results of the 2020 election should be overturned and called for the termination of the Constitution. Trump plans to terminate the Constitution by asking Herschel Walker to drive it to the clinic.
After the January 6th committee subpoenaed Donald Trump, Trump responded the next day with a 14-page letter. 14 pages. Okay, Unabomber. I don't know if this is a coincidence, but Trump wrote the letter on the same day the FDA confirmed the nation is experiencing a shortage of Adderall.
A deep-sea diver has announced plans to set a new record by living underwater for 100 days. I feel like the record is longer than that, said the people of New Orleans. I don't know why I thought that'd make you laugh.
And I just know from experience in college, anytime I wrote a 14-page paper in one night, I'd also taken a disturbing amount of Adderall. My favorite part of Trump's letter is the beginning because it's on really nice letterhead. It starts, Dear Chairman Thompson, and then the first line is just screaming. It's like reading a Victorian love letter that says, My beloved Winifred, who the hell are you having sex with? A man in Florida said he was surprised when he heard a knock at the door and it turned out to be an alligator. Even more surprising, it was doing the thing from Love Actually. Officials in Berlin announced that women will now be allowed to go topless at the city's pools. But officials also said to be aware, it's not going to be the ones you want.
The committee showed a never-before-seen video from January 6th of a desperate Nancy Pelosi speaking on the phone with Mike Pence, which to Pence counts as adultery. In the video, Pelosi said that she wanted to punch out Donald Trump and knew that if she did, she'd go to jail and be happy. I assume because she owns stock in private prisons. According to a new report, by 2035, more than half of the world's population will be just how I like them. A photo has gone viral of a 98-year-old woman in Kentucky meeting her first great-great-great-grandchild. Well, I wish I had gotten to meet my great-great-great-grandmother so I could have told her, don't get on that boat!
Insiders are saying that the House January 6th committee will refer at least 3 criminal charges against Donald Trump. But after this week, I think he's pretty much locked down that insanity place. Semi-retired maniac Donald Trump has launched a collection of digital NFT trading cards depicting him in various costumes, including cowboy, superhero, and most unbelievable of all, guy who didn't dodge the draft.
During that one, man.
There is a trend on TikTok of people eating oranges in showers, claiming that it reduces stress and anxiety. But if you're comfortable filming yourself eating in the shower, I would argue you don't have enough anxiety.
Fishermen in Florida have discovered a 214-year-old clam that was born the same year as Abraham Lincoln. The clam credits his longevity to staying away from the theater. You never know, Colin.
Some owners of McDonald's franchises are reportedly concerned about a campaign partnership with Cardi B, especially the ad where they claim their burgers have a wet-ass patty.
Oh.
A new study finds that long-distance running does not cause wear and tear on marathoners' knees, but it does sand their nipples clean off. Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy seen here wanting to know if you or someone you love has been injured in a car accident. Met in person with President Biden about the debt ceiling and said they had a good conversation. It went so well, Biden let him pick a couple classified documents out of the bowl.
Wednesday was International Women's Day. I said was. Next joke. A new study finds that some New York City rats carry the virus that causes COVID, which is why I always order mine well done.
Well, guys, a genetic engineering company has announced plans to bring back the long-extinct dodo bird, but only for a limited time at Arby's.
We have the dodo.
Nike has officially cut ties with Brooklyn Nets star Kyrie Irving over his anti-Semitism scandal. Kyrie says he's so depressed he might jump off the edge of the world.
Today was the SantaCon bar crawl in New York City. Yeah, the annual reminder that while Santa may exist, God doesn't.
Thanks, Colin. I promise you won't regret it.
I'm sure not.
In Sarah news, this week I'm finally turning 30, or as Colin calls it, 15 years too old.
Come on. No.
What? When I invited you to my birthday party, you RSVP'd, I'm not gonna be there. Of course. In real news, the U.S. is facing a threat from a highly intelligent breed of pig dubbed the Super Pig, which is funny because Super Pig is also what Colin writes on my dressing room mirror anytime he catches me eating.
Last week, HBO aired Leaving Neverland, a documentary detailing multiple child molestation charges against Michael Jackson. And they say this doc has done more damage to Michael Jackson than his last doc, Dr. Conrad Murray. At the conference, President Biden was asked if he plans to run for re-election in 2024, which is probably the nicest way to ask him if he plans to be alive in 3 years.
Nevada's famed Moonlight Bunny Ranch brothel is searching for a quality control tester who will be paid to have sex with prostitutes and rate their performance. The prostitutes will be graded on a scale from F to don't F. According to an annual ranking by Orkin Pest Control, the places in America with the worst bedbug problems are Chicago, Detroit, and your mama.
The population of Los Angeles has fallen for the 3rd straight year. Well, it's like Colin always says, LA is just not the same without Harvey. You always say it, man.
Cool. Thanks, man. That's cool.
A new report shows that half of the dogs in the U.S. are overweight, which explains why the most popular breed in America is the Type 2 Dire Beagle.
A British version of RuPaul's Drag Race will begin airing next year on the BBC. And because it's England, their penises will be tucked to the right side. Trump said him getting COVID was, quote, a blessing from God. And I bet even God was like, hey, we tried, guys.
Kim Kardashian revealed that she plans to take the bar exam and become a lawyer in 3 years. And I think she can do it. I mean, it only took Kanye a couple years to go to space. A New Jersey woman who posts pictures of herself rock climbing while naked says that it is not pornographic, but I don't know, that rock looks pretty hard. Police in Ohio say that a report of a homeless man sleeping on a bench turned out to be a statue, which was a huge relief because they shot it 15 times. Jay-Z has launched a line of cannabis products called Monogram, so just a quick reminder to all the women that told me I need to grow up. Beyonce is married to a 50-year-old weed guy. So God ain't done with me yet. Tyler Perry is developing a new TV series that explores the origin of his character Medea, weirdly as part of his new superhero franchise, The Avengers. Virginia has become the first state in the South to abolish the death penalty. So if you'll excuse me, I've got some white women to whistle at. It was revealed that Freddie, the world's tallest dog, has died. The cause of death has been listed as ceiling fan. Scientists have discovered a new species of jellyfish with a transient anus that appears only when it needs to expel waste and on its husband's birthday. The makers of Aunt Jemima products, which have been criticized for using racist imagery, are finally changing the name to Pearl Milling Company. Pearl Milling is the name of the white lady who owned Aunt Jemima. A woman in Slovakia helped arrest a man robbing a gas station by performing oral sex on him until police arrived. The woman was able to stall him for that long by being terrible at it. Aviation officials report that 2 Irish pilots claim they saw an unidentified flying object. But keep in mind, Irish pilot is also the highest reading on a breathalyzer. A new study by astronomers finds that the galaxy is not as black as previously thought after it was seen dating a white lady. A painting by Pablo Picasso portraying his lover as a sea creature was sold at auction for $67 million. It's a beautiful abstract expression of his love and admiration that he named Titty Squid. Almost 100 art industry figures have criticized 4 different museum plans to postpone exhibits featuring an artist's paintings of the KKK. But if you want to see portraits of Klansmen, you can always search Jost on Ancestry.com. Okay, well, whatever.
If this life takes me before I get a chance.
Pope Francis has appointed 2 women to Vatican posts that were previously only held by men. Apparently, God came to him in a dream and told him he could pay women less. Residents in Rome are upset after a wild boar and her 6 piglets were killed on a playground near the Vatican. But it's like they say, nothing good ever happens on a playground near the Vatican. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
A woman in Utah survived after her SUV got stuck in the snow and mud for nearly a week. The woman says she couldn't have made it without her children, her delicious, delicious children.
A British woman was shocked when she discovered a 4-foot-long python in her toilet. But hey, that's Indian food for you.
You wish you could go back to the Grand Canyon joke, yeah.
In China was arrested after she cut off her husband's penis, then later went to the hospital where it had been reattached and cut it off a second time. You see, that kind of work ethic is exactly why China is beating the U.S.
Navy officials boarded a ship in the Arabian Sea and discovered a weapon stash so large that it covered the deck of a U.S. missile ship. Fortunately, the weapons are being returned to the U.S. where they can be safely sold to the mentally disturbed. An American Airlines pilot reported that during a flight over New Mexico, he saw a long cylinder object come close to his plane. Sorry, that was just our engine, said United. Virgin Atlantic Airlines announced that it will no longer require female flight attendants to wear makeup and skirts, just as long as their husbands sign the consent form. A conductor of a bullet train is facing disciplinary action after he left the controls to use the bathroom while the train was traveling at nearly 100 miles an hour. But brother, that chili was traveling at that same speed. 2 male penguins in a same-sex relationship have hatched their first egg. Or, and hear me out, male penguins look exactly like female penguins. A woman in Arizona gave birth to a 14-pound baby boy. So now Arizona has 2 Grand Canyons. It's a math joke. I'm surprised you guys didn't get it.
Oh, my God.
A sailor who fell overboard survived for 14 hours in the Pacific Ocean by floating on a large piece of garbage. Sorry, that was our other engine, said United.
Trump advisor Stephen Miller also wants to hold migrants seeking asylum in tent cities. Fun fact, tent city is also what Stephen Miller gets anytime a girl talks to him.
Archaeologists have discovered 1,000-year-old drawings in a cave in Alabama, and guys, they're bad. They're really bad drawings.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone.
Welcome to Weekend Update. I'm Michael Che.
I'm Colin Jost. Well, guys, the election is exactly 30 days away. Just think, in only 30 days, this whole nightmare will be nowhere close to over.
On Friday, New York Mayor Eric Adams surrendered to federal authorities and was arraigned on corruption and bribery charges where he pleaded, "Don't hate the player, hate the game." After Adams was charged, he said, "We are not surprised. We expected this, because of all the briberies."
Earlier tonight, Donald Trump held a rally at the site of his first assassination attempt, which I have to admit is very brave of him. Though it was interesting that right before Trump spoke, he sent J.D. Vance out in a long red tie and a blonde wig.
Kamala Harris released an 81-page book outlining her economic policy because you know how women like to go on and on and on. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is reportedly already interested in running for mayor. Damn, he moves faster than COVID through a nursing home.
Elon Musk, seen here trying to jump to Mars. joined Trump on stage at the rally tonight, which may be the last time Trump and Musk will be together until they co-host our Christmas show.
Stormy Daniels testified that during their encounter, Donald Trump did not wear a condom. He tried to put one on, but he was blocked by his tie. Stormy Daniels testified in Donald Trump's hush money trial and was asked to list some of the movies that she's worked on. After she finished, the judge banged the gavel and open oral arguments were the names of the movies. Oh, man, that was a good joke. It was reported that last month the U.S. added 245,000 new jobs. Unfortunately, they were all Diddy accuser. It was announced that Sean P. Diddy Combs' sex trafficking case has been assigned to a new judge, one that Diddy hopes is cool with rapes.
Representative Matt Gaetz referenced the Proud Boys by tweeting a picture of himself outside Trump's courtroom with a caption, "Standing back and standing by." Gaetz used that same caption in a picture of himself outside a quinceañera.
Insiders said that during his hush money trial, Donald Trump complained that none of his supporters were in court with him. But that's not true. What about all those cops? I'd do it for that guy.
Yeah, sure. It was reported that Diddy once invited Prince Harry and Prince William to one of his parties, but they did not go. Although before Diddy could even finish writing the invite, Prince Andrew was there. A Senate report on the first Trump assassination attempt says one of the biggest issues were technical problems, including delays in emails after the sniper was spotted. Emails. Who sees an assassin and is like, I better open Outlook? Hey, sorry for the mass email, but there's a sniper on the roof. Please respond by end of day.
Yesterday, the devil went down to Georgia. No, I'm kidding. Donald Trump traveled to Georgia to survey the damage from Hurricane Helene, which is bold because nothing scares Trump more than high winds. Senator Raphael Warnock criticized Mark Robinson, calling him white supremacy in blackface, which is also the name of Colin's special.
The Senate report also says there were delays in texts after spotting the sniper, like this one that read, LOL, just saw this, sorry, which roof? Hashtag Mercury in retrograde. Vice President Kamala Harris traveled to North Carolina to survey damage from the hurricane, which is the second time this year she swooped in after a huge disaster.
The Biden administration has proposed banning the use of Chinese-made car software, which is almost as dangerous as Chinese-made drivers. It's the 90s, man. You were back.
New court filings in Donald Trump's election interference case reveal that on January 6th, Trump was scrolling through Twitter during the attack on the Capitol, which is just so infuriating to those of us who were there fighting for him.
A growing number of black men feel like the Trump and Biden campaigns are not actually trying to forge true relationships and just want their votes. Yeah. During a new interview with ABC News, Steve Bannon called himself the voice of MAGA and also the face of gout. It was reported that Donald Trump has refused to release his medical records, and I bet I know what he's hiding, but I'm not allowed dementia it.
Donald Trump said this week that Americans will travel to Mars in his next term, probably to get an abortion.
An attorney for Diddy said that his client wants to testify at his trial, saying, I don't know that I can keep him off the stand, because you can't hold a guy back wearing all that baby oil.
And you may have already forgotten, but this week was also the vice presidential debate between Mumford and Dad. This debate was so white it made me look Haitian.
President Biden said that the National Guard should not be called in to deal with campus protests, but I'm just happy that he's finally not sending military aid somewhere. It's the 90s, Carl.
Sean Combs, his defense attorney, also argued that his client is not like R. Kelly. First of all, never a great sign when the first person you compare your client to is R. Kelly. But I have to agree, it's true. Diddy is nothing like R. Kelly. I mean, R. Kelly's songs are good. Debates are apparently all finished, and I'm upset. How did we never get to see RFK Jr. in a debate? How were we robbed of that? I love that RFK Jr. admitted he dumped a dead bear in Central Park. He chainsawed the head off a dead whale, strapped it to the roof of his car like a Christmas tree, and he told us a worm was living in his brain, eating through his head. And still everyone is like, you know who's weird? J.D. Vance.
A family reported that their pet cat, which went missing in Yellowstone National Park 2 months ago, reappeared at their home 800 miles away after being chased by a mob of hungry Haitians.
I'm glad you said it.
This week, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted, "Yes, they can control the weather." And I don't know who they is, but it has been a suspiciously nice Rosh Hashanah weekend.
That's not a flaw.
That's right. 2 claps Che, no claps Joyce.
Damn it. Don't clap for that. That's the third for him. Hoda Kotb announced that she is leaving the Today Show. Hoda says she will remember her time on the show fondly and not at all. Hoda Kotb will be replaced by, oh no, Matt Lauerby. President Biden made a surprise appearance at a White House press briefing on Friday, and it's not a great sign when you're at the White House and people are like, whoa, what's the president doing here? In honor of Jimmy Carter's 100th birthday, more than 4,000 children around the country sent him hand-drawn cards bearing messages like, who are you? And my mom made me do this. Astronomers say that an asteroid the size of a school bus will soon enter Earth's orbit, temporarily becoming a new mini-moon and making our moon look like an old fat bitch.
I didn't know we could do that. A couple in Washington State were arrested after they tried to sell their baby for $1,000 and some beer. And I'll give you one guess which one of them said, and some beer. Hung Cao, a Republican candidate for Senate in Virginia, criticized drag queens and implied that they are not tough enough to serve in the military, which is sad because Hung Cao is a fantastic drag name.
It was revealed that Daniel Day-Lewis is coming out of his 7-year retirement to film a new movie. And you won't believe it, it's Shrek 6. A number of TikTok users have been posting videos that use AI to translate Adolf Hitler's speeches into English. Let's take a look.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats.
Richard Branson has launched a new free online university for people with dyslexia. You can check it out at www.dyslexiacom.com.
A woman in Italy has set a new world record for having the world's thickest tongue. Reached for comment, the woman said,
According to a new report, scientists now believe they have pinpointed where the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs came from. Space. I thought you guys would be more, whatever. Boston's first lesbian bar in decades, called Danny's Queer Bar, has officially opened its doors. Well, curtains. But even if you don't drink, it's a great place to eat out. Okay, 2.5.
I'm not counting that.
A new Netflix show about convicted murderers Eric and Lau Menendez is being criticized for implying the brothers had an incestuous relationship. Said the brothers, "We're just glad our parents aren't around to see this." That's a sweet one.
Yeah, that's sweet. It was reported that a man in Austria who was high on mushrooms used an axe to amputate his own penis. Worse, then he was like, "Ooh, another mushroom." For the first time in 146 years, it has not snowed in Chicago during the months of January and February, or all the snowflakes were shot before they reached the ground. Well, a new report ranks the New York City subway system as the best in the country. This was according to Masturbating Hobo Monthly. The Association of British Scrabble Players has banned a star player for 3 years after he was caught cheating. In response, the player has released this statement. A Massachusetts couple whose son was born during the Super Bowl has named him Brady, while an Atlanta couple whose son was born during the Super Bowl has named him Son of a Bitch. Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos claims he was blackmailed by the publisher of the National Enquirer, which he said threatened to publish semi-nude selfies of him. And if you're curious about what Bezos' penis looks like, here's an exclusive preview. The makers of Pokemon Go are now developing a similar game based on the world of Harry Potter. The game will be called Harry Potter and the Kids Who Wandered into Oncoming Traffic. I swear to God, when I clicked on this story and the page was loading, I thought the top of Jeff Bezos' head was the top of his penis. Dick's Sporting Goods is opening a new experiential store with a rock climbing wall, sports fields, and an indoor wellness space. Unfortunately, they're calling it Hands-on Dick's. A family in Australia has discovered what is believed to be the world's oldest message in a bottle, which was thrown into the sea over 130 years ago by a then middle-aged Bernie Sanders. Researchers in Hong Kong are reporting the first ever case of a human contracting rat hepatitis. Worse, now that guy has to call and inform every rat he's ever slept with. It was reported that Jennifer Lopez is now dating Alex Rodriguez. J-Lo and A-Rod go by the cool celebrity couple name of, you guessed it, Elena Fix Lodripez. For the second year in a row, the happiest city in the country is Naples, Florida, while the least happy city is once again Puppy Funeral, Minnesota. The house where Lizzie Borden murdered her parents has been sold for $2 million and will be turned into a bed and breakfast. Though a bed and breakfast where a murder happened is pretty much just a day's in. President Trump began his speech with his tie crooked in his jacket, while Mike Pence's tie was so straight it makes me suspicious. LA Clippers owner Donald Sterling was banned for life this week by the NBA for making a series of racist remarks, after which I'm guessing he made a few more. A woman in Chicago was scammed out of more than $11,000 by a Bruce Springsteen impersonator she met online. Now, these scams can be tricky, but one way to tell that someone is not the real Bruce Springsteen is that he asks to borrow $11,000. Apple has announced that it will add hundreds of new emojis to its iOS system, including a person at a spa, a vomiting face, and a shushing finger, finally giving emoji fans the ability to describe what it was like to work for Harvey Weinstein. Weinstein, who's been accused of multiple counts of sexual assault, is reportedly going to Europe for sex rehab. Somehow, I don't think that's going to help anybody. He doesn't need sex rehab. He needs a specialized facility where there are no women, no contact with the outside world, metal bars, and it's a prison. How is no one keeping track of how many guns people own? There is a real law in Texas that says it's illegal to own more than 6 dildos. And I get why. No one needs that many. If you have more than 6 dildos, it's a clear sign you are training for something awful.
I mean,
A new investigation has revealed that Subway's chicken contains only about 50% chicken DNA, though that's pretty much best case scenario for a DNA swab at Subway.
That's a harsh joke, Colin.
A man in China accidentally unearthed a 700-year-old figurine after he pulled over to the side of the road to relieve himself and discovered he was urinating on the object. It's a story the man loves to tell most when people are holding the figurine.
And well, we're still 5 weeks away from Easter, but earlier tonight, a man came back from the dead.
A British songwriter is suing U2, claiming that the band stole one of his songs. Though I don't like the songwriter's chances because his lawyer is working pro bono.
He insisted on telling that.
Military officials have announced that they will increase missions to train, advise, and assist troops in the African nation of Niger. The focus on Niger is viewed as a direct challenge to President Trump's autocorrect. It was reported that Yahoo and AOL will combine to form a new company because no one wants to die alone. The co-founder of the Waffle House passed away this week at the age of 97. He died the way so many Waffle House patrons have, a knife fight in the parking lot. Vice President Joe Biden revealed this week he uses Men's Clinique to keep his skin smooth, while John Boehner revealed he uses Weather Beater deck stain.
No matter how loud I scream and shout, no one can save me now. Commanding fear and doubt inside my mind. Inside my mind.
Democrats are now calling for Northam to resign, but the second in line is embroiled in now 2 sexual assault scandals, and the third in line also did blackface. So at this point, maybe Virginia should take a cue from the Oscars and just go without a governor this year. You know? Or they could just come full circle and make it Governor Kevin Hart.
I don't know if you guys were following the news today, but a space rocket that was spinning out of control just minutes ago crashed into the ocean. And for once, we know it's not Elon's fault. A lot of people have been wondering, why is he hosting our show? And now we know it's because he needed an alibi.
Officials in England say that over $60 million worth of cocaine washed up on a beach. For reference, here's what $60 million worth of washed up cocaine looks like.
And Hillary Clinton has announced that she's starting a podcast. And, okay, now I do think we should lock her up.
An American woman set a new record by visiting every country in the world in 19 months. And after all that travel, she found the one thing that had been inside her all along: Zika.
Don't fall for me, don't put your trust in me, don't even lie for me. I want you, honey, I don't get it.
Good evening, everyone.
Welcome to Weekend Update. I'm Michael Che.
I'm Colin Jost. Scientists in Europe are studying a skeleton that they say is rewriting the history of syphilis. The skeleton is better known by its stage name, Russell Brand.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg visited the site of the train derailment and was criticized for wearing leather dress boots. But give him a break. That's all they had at Baby Gap. President Biden said Friday that he would visit the site of the Baltimore bridge collapse because, like that bridge, Biden is no longer connecting with black communities. Thank you.
President Biden went to Walter Reed Medical Center for his annual physical. Doctors said Biden was fit as a fiddle, in that he's old-timey and held together by strings. FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried has been convicted of securities fraud, wire fraud, and illegally making a wig out of a labradoodle. The former cryptocurrency CEO now faces up to 110 years in prison, where, ironically, he will be used as an alternative currency.
A new poll shows that supporters of President Biden and Donald Trump are sharply divided over where they get their news from. People who support Biden are more likely to get their news from newspapers and mainstream media, while Trump supporters get their news from T-shirts. Vice President Kamala Harris praised Beyonce for her new country album, saying that she has reclaimed country music's black roots. I'm sorry, Hootie? Georgia Representative and cocaine bear Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted, "The country needs a national divorce," which makes sense because she is the most divorced-looking woman I have ever seen. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is releasing a new memoir called The Courage to Be Free. Even though The Courage to Be Free sounds like a Black history book, he's banned. During a campaign event marking the start of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, President Biden criticized Japan as being xenophobic, which is crazy because why would the Japanese be scared of foreigners? Oh my God, Drake just dropped another diss record, guys. I'm just kidding. I just say that when I bomb. Sam Bankman-Fried, the former CEO of the cryptocurrency company FTX, was arrested on fraud charges in the Bahamas. I'm going to guess while swimming in a T-shirt. Prosecutors allege that Bankman-Fried took funds from FTX customers to make large political donations. That money will now be used to make sure the cameras outside his jail cell aren't working. I like this so far.
And plans for a 3-year-long around-the-world cruise were canceled after organizers could not find a ship for the voyage. Guys, call me.
President Biden said that the National Guard should not be called in to deal with campus protests, but I'm just happy that he's finally not sending military aid somewhere. In an interview, Senator Mitt Romney said that he will not vote for Donald Trump over Joe Biden. Now, some of you may remember Mitt Romney. Monday is National Polar Bear Day, previously known as National Polar Bears Day. Fully completed a sentence. You never know, Colin.
Some owners of McDonald's franchises are reportedly concerned about a campaign partnership with Cardi B, especially the ad where they claim their burgers have a wet-ass patty.
Oh. Scientists in New Guinea have rediscovered a long-lost mammal called a monotreme, which has the quills of a hedgehog, the snout of an anteater, the feet of a mole, and the ass of an angel. I'm just reading it. After his arraignment, Donald Trump spoke to supporters at Mar-a-Lago and said there was a very dark cloud over our beloved country, which is also what he used to call Obama. Insiders are saying that since Donald Trump's indictment, his daughter Ivanka has been absent, and his other daughter Tiffany is trying to take her place by his side just as soon as she gets through security.
Alaska Airlines has announced plans to buy Hawaiian Airlines for nearly $2 billion. Alaska and Hawaiian combined will be called Technically American Airlines.
McDonald's is releasing a new Grandma McFlurry, which they say tastes like Grandma's favorite treats that she hid in her purse. It's a combination of butterscotch, crunchy candy pieces, and a big black vibrator. No. Fishermen in Florida have discovered a 214-year-old clam that was born the same year as Abraham Lincoln. The clam credits his longevity to staying away from the theater. I don't know. I love this audience. This is going great for me. A woman. President Biden made a drastic change in his immigration policy, saying he would be willing to shut down the border if given the power by Congress. It's the kind of unexpected shift in direction Biden usually only makes in the middle of a sentence. The Biden campaign is trying to appeal to black voters as polls show their support for Biden has declined. It's getting so bad, he now only has support from Obama's white half.
After new polls show Donald Trump leading Joe Biden, Democratic strategists are calling Biden's re-election campaign a five-alarm fire, which is scary for Biden because in a fire, you have to use the stairs.
That's how he really dances, too. First Lady Jill Biden said in an interview that she maintains a good balance in the types of advice she offers President Biden. But it's mostly, hold on to the railing.
This week, South Carolina attorney Alex Murdaugh was found guilty of murder and also found guilty of looking like Will Ferrell dressed as Conan O'Brien.
Nikki Haley has launched a series of campaign ads targeting both Donald Trump and Joe Biden called Grumpy Old Men. Okay, but at least they're men. Chicago became the largest U.S. city to call for a ceasefire in Gaza. And in return, Gaza called for a ceasefire in Chicago. Speak for yourself. If convicted, Hunter Biden could be sentenced to up to 17 years in prison, which would be the first time any Biden has successfully.
Tom Brady revealed that he has regrets about last week's Netflix roast, saying he didn't like the way it affected his kids. But that isn't stopping him from performing in tomorrow night's Netflix roast of Tom Brady's kids.
King Charles's portrait is being criticized for depicting him on a harsh red background. But in the royal family, that's better than having a black background. McDonald's is releasing a new Grandma McFlurry, which they say tastes like Grandma's favorite treats that she hid in her purse. It's a combination of butterscotch, crunchy candy pieces, and a big black vibrator. Okay. I won't do it on air then.
It was reported that a yacht in the Strait of Gibraltar was sunk after a group of orcas attacked it. Nice try, orcas, but we're never releasing the prisoners.
An upcoming TV special starring actor James Van Der Beek will attempt to raise awareness about prostate cancer testing. It's called Dawson's Crack.
High-end luxury apartment buildings around the country are offering new amenities, including IV drips to help recover from hangovers. And if that sounds appealing, learn more at Alcoholics Anonymous. Pro-Palestinian protesters walked out of Jerry Seinfeld's commencement address at Duke University. And I think that's disgraceful. During these difficult times, it's important to support our Jewish friends. That's why the only chant you'll hear from
Heart, Colin, breaks my heart.
Before her testimony, Stormy Daniels agreed not to describe Trump's genitalia in court after she was offered hush money by the jury.
Israeli officials are reportedly furious after the U.S. withheld a shipment of weapons. But yes, sometimes people get angry at their intervention. President Biden on Tuesday issued a call to fight hate against anti-Semitism, saying there is no place for it in America. But on the other hand, Collins Country Club.
But then Florida Senator Rick Scott appeared in court to support Trump. So in a way, we did get to see what Trump's penis would look like. It's a nice place.
Oh.
At a White House ceremony honoring the WNBA champion Las Vegas Aces, President Biden mistakenly called player Candace Parker one of the greatest all-time coaches. Worse, he thought this woman was their point guard.
During a ceremony in Russia, Vladimir Putin was sworn in for his 5th term as president by placing his hand on the Russian Constitution, which is just the label on a bottle of vodka. A new plant has opened in Iceland, which is designed to remove climate pollution from the atmosphere using the world's largest vacuum. Aw, a new vacuum, just in time for Mother's Day. I don't know why I thought. A growing number of women who